Good morning and welcome to Forward Not Fetal, my daily vlog that I've been doing for like a million days in a row now. The kid just went down for his nap. I'm totally ready to go down for a nap. Unfortunately, I kind of got a migraine yesterday, so I was pretty laid out, not feeling my finest. And I still have that like residual, like the tension and the like, so that's not a whole lot of fun. And I didn't sleep great, so I'm just sort of like, but I just had my cup of coffee, and I think we're just gonna have a quiet day. Um, I do think I'm finally gonna step outside. He just settled for a nap, so I think I'll do this and then go out for a few minutes and try to actually work on the gardening stuff because I really need to get those seeds down if I have any hope for a harvest, which is fine. But it's also like, um, but yeah, Loripe's the devil. Don't plant it. It's just this thick mat of roots and like getting under it, and like you're basically like loosening this huge colony. And then I feel guilty that like I'm killing these plants. They're perfectly healthy, but like I like I don't understand how people can get this up and then be able to share it. Also, like now I'm just like, no, you can't plant this. This is terrible. Go look up pollinator plants, which actually I'm just gonna ramble on about the gardening stuff I'm thinking about. It'll have to be for next year, but there's a spot at the back, like kind of slightly behind our garage, that currently is mostly overgrown. It does look like it might have used to had a vegetable garden there. But I'm not going to put vegetables there. What I'd like to do is plant pawpaws, like at least 4 pawpaw trees, because that's kind of what you need for cross pollination and different cultivars. Um, but pawpaw is a native fruit that doesn't travel well, and thus we never see it in the grocery stores. It does apparently make it purees very well and freezes really well, so it's used in a lot of desserts. But it's like this. Apparently, I've never had pawpaw, but apparently it is like a mix of like mango and pineapple and like this very tropically fruit that's delicious. Apparently, the flowers don't smell so great, so I kind of wanted the back of the house, and it's far like it's basically the back of all of the houses. And then like some people were like, look, it doesn't smell great, but like it's only when it's blooming, and like that's just the flowers because it pollinates with flies. Well, because of course it does. Couldn't pollinate with some beautiful butterflies, no. But reading other gardeners, they said like honestly, as long as it's not like up on your house, you really don't smell it. Like if you go and sniff it, yeah, you'll be like, wow, this smells gross, but like it's not going to be a huge impact. And we have pawpaw festivals, and I was like, oh man, it'll be perfect. I'll get some pawpaws, and there's a couple local nurseries that do it. I feel like when I was looking at stuff, like it wasn't going to be able to be planted until next year anyway. Um, but maybe I'm wrong because I think in August is when they usually have the Pawpaw Festival that's nearby, but they're not doing it this year, but they are doing it next. Anyway, I'm not doing it this year because that requires a lot of clearing and possibly even having to hire a tree person to take out some of those massive pines that like are terrifying back there. I'm not sure, but I really want to have a couple of pawpaws back there. Um, if I get them, if I get a seedling, it'll be like 10 years before they fruit. But you can get like 2-year trees from one of the local nurseries, 2 or 3 year, where basically it's 4 or 5 years before you get fruit. Which I realize is sort of like, wow, I'm having to think really far ahead. But I guess like the best time to plant a fruit tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So that's what I'm trying to do when I'm thinking about, oh, I wish I'd done all of these other things. Well, that's nice. But what I'm going to work on is what I'm going to do today. Um, and so I really want to put pawpaws back there. And I want to slowly grow the garden because we do like one of the reasons we bought this house is because it was on a double lot. And when we bought a million years ago, this was not the area that it is now. And so, like, it's definitely one of those, like, do we try to link the two lots so that, um, because otherwise, like, when the time comes to move, like, technically a developer could come in and put a second house in. Oh my gosh, it'd be so squished. Versus now, like, there's this love, like, the house is small, but there's this lovely spaciousness around us. And I realize they can't come and build it while I live here because I own that. But it's still, like, a very weird, like, yeah, it would be a very weird thing. Although then I'm just like, maybe I could put a tiny house on it. And it could be my retreat. Wouldn't that be great? Except for tiny houses are actually really expensive, and they're just a real fancy way of saying mobile home, where people aren't like, no, I don't live in a trailer, man. But, like, you live in a trailer. Why are you trying to, like... I just think it's classism in action. But that doesn't matter. I think small living is awesome. I am not someone who does it because I like stuff, and I'm working on that. And I'm being very rambly because I just am. But yeah, so, and my friend gave me like a squash plant, actually a zucchini, which my understanding is I will be giving that away. But I really like zucchini. Like I think zucchini is really yummy. Especially like marinate it, saute it, or grill it. It's really fantastic grilled. Um, and I guess I could make zucchini bread. A tomato, which I'm gonna be doubtful that like there'll be any tomato action happening at this point in time. But like I'll plant it. The worst that'll happen is it'll grow, and I'll just till it back into the soil and or compost it. I'm trying to figure out where to put a compost pile. I'm trying to figure out how to compost. If I had more funds, I think I'd just get one of those big barrel things and you just spin it and call it a day. But not gonna do that. And I have the space, so I just have to figure out a place to put it. Um, and I don't know what that'll be. And I do want to, like, for, like, other big gardening projects, and again, this is all going to be next year most likely, is I want to put a line of lavender in the front of the house. Just because, we have that big front area, and lavender's so beautiful, and the bees love it. Oh, bees, that was the other thing I was thinking about, is I want to put a pollinator garden in. And it tends to be a very wild thing, because it's, like, depending on what pollinators and what butterflies you're trying to attract, there'll be different things. Like, they have a really lovely pollinator garden slash monarch way station for the monarch butterflies, where it's all things that these different butterflies can have their entire life cycle on. And it's really cool. It's really amazing. And it's all native plants, so it's sort of stuff that, like, one, I can garden by neglect, which is my jam. And then two, that, like, invasive species are a really big deal. And, like, generally things that are native, like, you don't have to do a lot of special nonsense to have them thrive. Like, this is their home and they like it. So, I mean, obviously, like, I don't think lavender's native, but it does very well here. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then some sort of, like, easy, like, zinnias or something in our little front bed that I used to have chrysanthemums in. But they actually have a, like, 5 to 7 year lifespan, and I planted them about 8 or 9 years ago, so they're all dead. So now that's just empty, and I hadn't really thought that all the way through. I should have been cycling things, but I enjoy having flowers, and I enjoy having plants and working in the garden. It can just be really hard to motivate between the mosquitoes and the heat. It's just sort of like, really? So I'm gonna just motivate myself to go out and I'm not gonna spend a lot of time because I'm not feeling great, and I don't want to, like, break myself again. And so, oh, and the other thing I have to research is I was looking at elitharin lamps, which is like the Thermacell. It's a pyrethroid based that if you get the patio one, it'll keep like a 15-foot bubble of mosquito free area, and I think that might be just the way to create the mosquito free space that we kind of need without having to spray the whole yard, because that is not so great for the other, like the pollinators and bees and stuff. um, and like I found, and I was when I was looking up at the research where they did comparisons where like very little actually keeps them all off of you. And even DEET sprays, which I will put the highest level of DEET on that I can, because like the my reaction to mosquito bites is really terrible. And they're very like, I just get a million of them. Like there's something about me they love. But even with the DEET, like I'll get fewer mosquito bites, but like instead of getting 100, I'll get 50, and it's still really awful. And so it's sort of like I need a better solution, and so and like citronella and like the natural stuff, which I love the concept of, but like they don't work, and they super don't work for me. Like all I am is just smelling funny, and they just like it. And the mosquitoes do not care. Um, but in what I've been doing, a combination of like some fans, the elithrin based lamps that just kind of generate like a heat and create a bubble that keep them away. Um, and did I say like perithrin based, perithrin infused clothing, um, to just kind of like buy us some ability to be outside and not be horrifically miserable. Because it's really bad. And because I really, it's a struggle to leave the house sometimes, all the time, all the time. It's definitely something I struggle with, which is, well, that'll just be a whole other long ass video or series of videos. But I am trying to fight against my natural instincts to burrow, because I know my kid wants to go out and wants to explore more, and I want to facilitate that, because there's also such an incredible joy for me watching his face as he sees things for the first time. It's so cool. Anyway, I have rambled on a very long time. It's going to take forever to upload this video. I think what I'm trying to do is avoid going and working in the garden. So I'm going to go. You have a really good day. I'm going to have a good day. And I'll see you tomorrow.